Good morning, everyone. It is 11-ish in the morning on Sunday, July 20th, I think, 2025. I forgot to check the date. I am on my way to work, so I'm going to take my drive to talk about some things related to my living situation, which is I live in a car by choice. I am not homeless, technically. I am houseless. According to official definitions for public resource purposes, I am considered homeless. I have a home. I live in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is my home. I live in a car that is my shelter because that is what I prefer. I am an American by birth. I am migratory by choice. I like to move around. I've been complaining for years that I want to go live in the woods. And I finally, after trying a variety of different living situations, I've lived in some very nice houses. I've lived in some deplorable conditions. I've lived in a car. I've lived in a tent. I have lived directly on the sidewalk. My preference is to live in a car. Or I guess actually at this point, my preference is going to be to live in a campground. Because I grew up camping. My family lived in a nice little suburb, and then we had our summer vacation home for the weekends was in a campground in a rural part of Connecticut, where there just wasn't much around. There's farms, factories, and bars, and it wasn't terribly far from the casinos, but I lived in a community of people who just went camping, basically. It was in a place called State Line Campground in East Killingly, Connecticut, right on the border of Rhode Island on Route 101. I love this place. It's not the same anymore. The same people don't go there anymore, so it's a different environment now. But when I was going there was a group of probably around 30 regulars, the seasonal campers who they rented a site for the entire season. And it was a bunch of families and some single people and a couple of, childless couples. But it was a real community of people that we all knew each other. We all hung out together. The kids, because it was a closed area, the campground was only so much, and it was a small campground. There was only so much space and so many places to go. Children were allowed to just roam freely in the woods and have fun and, live our lives, and kind of all of the adults kept an eye on us and would let us know when we were, getting out of hand or getting out of line. I regularly babysat for other families. I was often paid in alcohol by the adults. As a 14 to 17-year-old kid babysitting, I was often paid in alcohol, which, maybe not appropriate, but that was the community that we were. There was a lot of military families, a lot of alcoholic families, and it felt like living in a really tight-knit community of just random weirdos who lived in the woods. So there's the group of regular families, and then there was the weekend campers and the vacationers who would come in. So we had new people who'd come in, and we would we'd suss them out, welcome them, or either all right, you're only here for a couple days and we're not going to pay any attention to you. But that's what I want in life. Is I want to live in a community where the adults know each other and trust each other to let the children run around and play and be free, and the children know that they are safe, but also know that if they don't feel safe, any of the adults that they know will help them if they just go to them. That was the kind of community that I lived in. And now I'm now that I lived in the sober house, that was a really positive experience for me, but it also just reinforced for me that I do not want to live indoors with a bunch of other people, because I was living in a fairly small house with 20 men sharing 3 bathrooms, I guess it was 2 kitchens. One of the kitchens was kind of inaccessible to start because the sink didn't work right, but I've lived a bunch of different ways. At this point, with everything that I've been through, both positive and negative, I just prefer to live outside. And I think that is a perfectly valid life choice. There were all, migratory communities are a thing. We exist. I want to form my own little migratory family go roam around. And so over the next like week or so, I'm going to be researching other campgrounds, because a lot of campgrounds limit the amount of time you can stay in them to like 1 or 2 weeks, maybe up to 4, depending on the campground and their rules. But so I'm gonna, and I like to move around, so like 2 weeks one place, 2 weeks another place. But like my goal at this point is to actually find like other people who want to travel. Chris may or may not want to travel. He's kind of on the fence. And he's, he can just do whatever he wants. That's my rules for my relationship. I can do whatever I want, and so can you. And anytime you want to bail, just leave. But alright, I am at work. But so like I wish people would think about others and like not try to like force other people to live the way that they live, because like a lot of people who live indoors think that everybody should live indoors, and they treat you like crap if you don't live indoors for any reason at all. I prefer to live outside. I am happiest surrounded by trees and the wilderness, with the moon high above my head, out in the sunshine. That is how I prefer to live my life. And people who are afraid to live their lives that way, you need to just get the hell out of my way and let me live my own life. Like, if you don't think you could survive living in the wilderness, stay in the cities and suburbs. I like to go to the wild places. I'm willing to risk getting mauled by a bear. As soon as we drove into the campground, we saw a deer. Just chilling. Middle of the day, just chilling out in the, entrance to the campground. I love the outdoors. The outdoors loves me.